Tisdale. Any questions? No questions? All in favor? Okay, 5-0. Motion, agenda accepted. Any report, Mayor?
No report.
No report. Council report, Mr. Lawrence?
None.
Mr. Deming? Dr. Tisdale?
Nothing.
Mr. Barrett?
No report.
No report. Go to the public agenda, citizen comments. There are 3 minutes each person. Anyone on my left would like to come up and speak on the citizen comments? Anyone on my left?
Hey y'all, my name is Scott. Most people know me as
Yeah,
Bubbles.
talk to the mic.
Got to speak into the mic. Please introduce yourself, your name, and give your name and address and speak.
Yes, I live in Austin, Texas. So I'm here because I work for Dr. Francine Whoopi, Chief of Nuclear Medicine at Keesler Air Force Base. She's retired now. My job for her was to go through her documentation of her telling Keesler they were killing her patients. Now, the way this happens, it gets complicated, so I'm not gonna make y'all sit through the whole spill. Basically though, she targets radiation directly to tumors, right? And so now they kept having the machine calibrated over and over and over, and her radiation targeting was off. And so without a doubt, we have proof in many other things. I also work for AFED. We're a group of doctors, lawyers, chemists, engineers, judges. And so we've been working on this for well over 12 years. So now, Dr. Francine Whoopi just had to have her face cut out because of the same radiation that you all are being contaminated with. And so we would appreciate you all taking immediate action. Anyone who is an official in Biloxi who does not take immediate action, AFED will mark as compliant and fire you with a sign from God. Hey, thank y'all for your time.
Thank you, sir. Okay, is there?
Anyone who is not immediately taking action, AFED will fire and mark you with a sign from God.
Thank you, sir.
Action now.
Anyone else would like to speak on this first meeting, the first meeting? Anyone else in the room? Come on, let's take a look.
I'm back. Wilson with, it's really loud today, Biloxi Beach Resort Rentals. So I'm back to plead my case again about a cap on short-term rentals for various reasons. I know we have one that's going to be spoken about not too far from my house in a little bit. And, you know, I don't think it's a great place to have them in this particular park that they're looking at. I feel like once you approve one or two in that location, eventually they're going to ask for all of them to be approved. So I personally would not like them right there. But on another note, you know, the city wants to be involved and handle and monitor these short-term rentals. You have over 400 right now. Who knows how many are in the process of being built? You don't have the staff to handle it. I encounter multiple problems every single day dealing with the planning department on licensing and inspections and things like that. If the city wants to do this, if you want to allow numerous short-term rentals throughout the Biloxi area, then you need to have a full department to handle it because one person can't do it. And who knows how many are illegally operating because you don't have the staff to do it. I just, you know, I really think that you need to sit down, think very hard about why a cap would benefit the city. I know that Mr. Deming feels like, you know, we should just let it happen and let the market correct itself. That's not what's going to happen. It's going to hurt locals like myself who employ 40 people from Biloxi and Gulfport. I lose business, I have to lay people off. Other management companies deal with the same thing because there's huge competition. So, you know, the cap benefits a lot of us, local management companies, homeowners, both who do rentals and don't do rentals. You know, I don't want short-term rentals in certain parts of the city, and I don't even live in those areas because it's taken away from the charm of Biloxi. People move here reasons. Our old neighborhoods is one of them. And when you start allowing transient guests every 2-3 days to turn over next door to people who have lived in this area their entire lives, that takes away from the charm of Biloxi. So I think that the council really needs to revisit this, think about a cap. If you're not going to put a cap, you need to have a full staff in that department to handle all of these rentals, because right now it's failing.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Anyone else? Okay, no, you've already been up. No, thank you.
It's the judge, the city judge,
Hey, brother, hey, you're out of order. You're out of order.
and I would appreciate if y'all would take.
Okay, with that being said, no one else, we're going to conclude the citizen comments. We're going to go into a policy agenda. The subject matter in the meeting is to discuss the proposed conditional use approval on short-term rental. That was motioned by Mr. Lawrence, second by Mr. Glavin, tabled last week by Mr. Barrett and Mr. Glavin. So, Mr. Lawrence, you're first.
Well, we'll turn it over to Nathan. Nathan's supposed to have been dealing with different people to find out what he wants to do with this. It's a tough situation, and it's pretty hard to open up the whole park, even small parts of it. So, Nathan, what did you find out during the week? You said you were gonna deal with everybody.
So I received several calls, emails, whenever this was first put on the agenda, not the rezoning, but for the short-term rentals in the country living park. And after last week's meeting, I talked to the management of country living. I reached back out to the others who had contacted me in reference to it. And as far as the 10 RV spots, there's no issue with that at all. And everybody I spoke to that had reached out to me knows that that country living that took over the old country living part, that it's a much better situation now, much better ran, much better taken care of. It's better for the community. And with it being homes of grace, they're more understanding. However, just giving the full deal is not something that any of them are willing, to accept, and neither am I. And so after talking to everybody that had reached out to me, everyone involved, what I would recommend is amending this item to allow the 10 RV spots, and allow conditional use a smaller number of short-term rentals. And then I would like to put an addendum or put something in here stating that is if this property is sold or change hands, that conditional use is dropped off for short-term rentals. Because while we trust that country living is going to do a good job, not everybody is going to be up to that standard. And so I'd feel more comfortable, that we limit it to a much smaller, I think they said there's 92 lots in there. Limit this to a much smaller, like 10 lots where we allow this, and then remove the conditional use if the property changes hands from country living. In addition to that, I would like to set up some type of reporting monthly from country living to the city to keep them updated on the units that are being rented out, how many of them, and that sort of thing, to help with the process of this. And I don't know what the language would be if it was approved to have that conditional use removed if the property was sold or transferred to someone else. But if that's something that we could do, I would like that to happen. And if the people that buy it want to come before us and we feel comfortable with it, and it may never be sold, but if that did happen, they could come before us and ask again. But that would be my recommendation.
A question to you, there's 3 short-term rentals on the property that's permitted to do short-term rentals. Now, you keep talking about 10 recreational. What are you planning on doing with that?
So in this request, they're asking for us to allow them to put 10 RV spots so that someone can come in with their motor home or their travel trailer and rent a spot by the night, just like an RV park, but have 10 spots within this park that is set up for RV hookups for people to bring their motor homes and mobile travel trailers to rent by the night, I guess it would be. But they wouldn't be renting RVs there themselves. They would just be renting the lots. And that's why we rezoned the property the way that we did to get a conditional use for that. So that's one part of the request. The other part of the request was to allow 92 short-term rentals. And they of doing that many, it just gives them flexibility, but I would like to limit that and put a cap on that at 10. And then the other things that I said would be my recommendation, the conditional use dropping off if the property changes hands, and then secondly, monthly reporting from Country Living to our code enforcement department, I guess, is who handles that.
Well, I can see you doing the recreational vehicles, like those 10 spots there, but I don't think we should touch the mobile park and turn anything to short-term rentals. That's the problem you're gonna have out there. They're building areas, homes and everything across the street, building homes. So we could have more neighbors, more people moving into the city of Biloxi, not just coming and going. So that's the direction we should take, and it shouldn't be short-term rentals. It's not the answer for the city of Biloxi, so. If you want to do I'll do the 10 recreational, but I can't support any short-term rental. I don't know if you can piece a mobile home and say you only use 10 or 20 here, but you can't do the other ones. I don't think that'll work. Because she even said that last. She said she can't say I can't rent this short-term rental, but I can rent that one. I don't think legally you can do that. I don't know. You have to ask Peter. I just don't believe that. Now, you can pick and choose out of 97 lots, which one you can do short-term, which you can't.
Would it have to be 10 specific units?
I mean, what is it currently zoned now, and what are they asking for?
Well, we rezoned it to NB last week, so it's neighborhood business. So it would be a conditional use. It's not use by right.
Be by right?
On my, okay, couple of things. Number one, the 3 that are there already would continue to be allowed to be used as a use by right because the zoning was changed, but they had a legitimate license at the time the zoning was changed. So those 3 could continue to operate. That's just the way zoning works. If you change the zoning, they're grandfathered in, those 3. From what I understand with my conversation with Councilman Barrett before the meeting, and I may be wrong, so you correct me, is that out of the 92, there would not be 10 specific sites that are set up, but that the owner, operator would like to be able to open the door for these 10 sites, you know, and it might be different sites from time to time in there. That's going to be very difficult to manage. I mean, from our standpoint, how are we going to know which ones are being used? If the city council chose to pick a certain area on the property and say, those 10, only those 10 sites could be used for the short-term rental, make it a lot easier for us to be able to monitor it.
So if we were to do that, since the 3 are grandfathered in, those 3 would automatically be 3 of them. And
That's
then we
correct.
would do 7 additional. So could we do it to where those 7 additional were picked and then they let us know or let y'all know what those 7 are? Because I have no clue, you know.
Yes, we could do that. As long as we know which sites are being used for short-term rental and that we could verify that those are the ones that are being advertised online, just those sites, then we can monitor those.
Okay.
But if we have this hit and miss all over the park, you know, we're just going to be chasing our tail trying to keep up with what's going on.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Would they have to have their property resurveyed or relaid out so we could show which is which?
No, all you'd have to do is just determine that, like the 7 that are closest to the 3 that are grandfathered in, and we would get with them and work that out, to show an imaginary boundary around
Now-
those 7.
Now, whenever you go from like right now, those units are 30-day rentals. Whenever you go from a 30-day rental to a short-term rental, the standard that's required in there increases because it's a short-term rental, correct?
That's correct, yes.
So the fire department would have to go and inspect all of those, and it would have to be up to that standard for it to be approved.
That's correct. It'll go from being considered a residential structure to being a commercial structure. And even though it's existing, there are certain things in the ordinance that are required for it to be used as a short-term rental.
Okay.
And
So-
either it complies or it doesn't comply.
Okay. All right. That's all that I have for right now.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Dr. Tisdale?
Yes, Jerry, on the conditional use, Mr. Barrett had mentioned that should the park be sold, the conditional use would be revoked. But it's
Well-
just not that simple, is it? It runs with the land, so.
Yes, sir. Now, it does, a conditional use run, then the conditional use could change ownership too. Now, that's what the ordinance says, but there is an exception in the ordinance for like a bed and breakfast. For some reason, a bed and breakfast only is the one where the conditional use does not transfer. So there are exceptions to that rule. And the fact that this is being used as a short-term rental, I don't know, this is more a legal question than it is a zoning question. But because we're dealing with something that's new and constantly evolving every time we meet to talk about it, then this may be something that we could amend to that conditional use, that if the property changes hands, then the conditional use would expire at that time, and the new applicant would have to come in and apply over again.
Would that be contractual zoning or?
No, it doesn't fall into that because, first of all, it's not a zoning change. You know, y'all have changed the zoning already. That strictly is tied to a zoning change, the contract zoning that we talked about, because with a zoning change, city council is saying it meets the 3 criteria. If you change it back, that means it didn't meet the 3 criteria. So it would be an acknowledgement that you changed the zoning for the wrong reason. But a conditional use would be different in that respect, that you would be able to put a sunset date on it or end it, have the sunset end when the property changes hands again.
Anything else, Dr. Tisdale?
That's it, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Deming? And Ms. Newman? Anyone else on the council?
Looked like Nathan, we run into more questions and more legal questions than we had before. On the same problem we had last week, now we got more problems. And what you can do and what you can't do, and legally what you can do and what you can't do. So I don't know if we need to just maybe table this and get all these answers before we do anything with it. Because I can't support all them short-term rentals and picking and choosing. I don't think you can do that. So I think you need to, since it's in your ward and these people are concerned with what's happening, I think we need to get all this stuff straight and legally and then make the decision, whatever way you want to go then. Thank you.
Okay. I need a motion to adjourn this special meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Tisdale. Need a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Barrett.
Yeah.
All of them in favor? Okay. Next meeting start in 7 minutes.
Oh, Kenny, you missed the.
I'll get right there. I'm going right there, right back.
Okay. 7 minutes. We gonna, okay. Okay. Take your seats. Biloxi City Council meeting, Tuesday, January 24th, 23, 1:30 meeting. I need a motion to suspend the rules. Moved by Mr. Glavin. I need a second. Second by Ms. Newman. All in favor? Okay, 7-6-0. And we have a addition? Yeah? You gonna read it into it?
To the consent agenda, we're substituting item 5T, resolution requesting the assistance of Harrison County in the repair of Hickman Road.
All right, I need the amendment. I need a motion to accept the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Mr. Glavin, second by Dr. Tisdale. All in favor? 6-0, motion carried. Mayor's report?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Welcome everyone to our mid-January meeting. And my report will be brief. No report.
All right, thank you, Mayor. All right, Mr. Barrett? No departmental reports. We're going to move on to the council report. Mr. Barrett?
No report.
No report. Mr. Glavin?
Thank you, Mr. President. One of the things that I have is we had Public Works go out and look at a property in Destiny Plantation that had a drainage issue behind their home. There was a resolution that was proposed, but they said they wanted to wait till after the summer and when all the weeds and everything was knocked down a little bit. And the owner just requested me to bring that back up today to make sure it doesn't get lost in the shuffle, and that is on someone's radar to kind of fix the drainage issue. I believe it was behind Mr. Strickland's home. I'd appreciate it if that would be given some attention. That concludes my report.
Thank you. I'm going to go back to Mr. Barrett.
I do have one thing really quick. Items O through, or N through R on the consent agenda. These are roads that the county has agreed to go 50-50 with us on. And these are the only roads that are in Eagle Point that weren't redone during the FEMA project because they were high and didn't get any water in that area. They haven't been paved in over 25 years, so they're in desperate need of it. So appreciate the administration getting this on the agenda quickly so that we can get this done, and ask for everyone's support on these.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett. Dr. Tisdale?
Yes, I'd like to thank Public Works, Mr. Allen, for resolving an issue with the drainage line between Carter and Spratley and Bayview. The administration, I appreciate the help on that. That was long overdue. So thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Dr. Tisdale. Mr. Deming?
I don't have much. Mr. Mayor, I was out with Ms. Labata today in my ward, and we went over some of those things that we talked about. Took her over to the Club Moss Circle and figured out ways to help resolve some of the drainage issues. I also took her on a tour of some of the roads, some of the worst roads within the city of Biloxi, and hopefully we can get some paving money approved and get those projects going, because they're in desperate need of pavement. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Deming. Ms. Newman? A report. And I have 2 issues. I want to thank you, Ms. Newman, for when I was on vacation last week, for filling in. And I need to see Billy Ray after the meeting is over with. He'll be back?
He'll be back. He's out on a job right now.
Okay, we had an issue on Anglada Street, and I wanted to talk with them about that issue. Okay, I'll get with you after. Thank you. That concludes the council reports. We're going to move on to our public agenda, which is citizen comments. We have a total allotted time of 45 minutes. 45 minutes, 3 minutes per person, strictly enforced. Is there anyone on my left who would like to come up and speak? Anyone on my left?
Thank you. My name is Miss Eula Kroll, and I'm from 681 Chambers Cove, Biloxi, Mississippi. I know that some of you all have heard that I had a problem with Councilman Gines becoming a Republican. I had no problem with that. My problem was he didn't come to his constituents, which is me and the rest of these people in the back, and let us know what was going on. I voted Republican before. I look at the candidate. I don't look at what party you in. I don't look at whether you a Democrat, whether you whatever. I'm going to say it again very forcefully. My problem was not, and I'm going to say it in front of Councilman Gines, it was not with him becoming a Republican. It was the way it was done. Peace and power.
Thank you, Ms. Crowell. Is there anyone else on my left?
Good afternoon. My name is LaWanda Jones. I'm with the Biloxi Chamber of Commerce, and we're here today to actually show our appreciation and want to do an official introduction as I've taken over being the director for the Biloxi Chamber. And we want to thank you for the support that you have continued to give the Chamber so that we can continue with our program of work, as well as this past year with the support of you allowing us to have different events and activities. We put back over $41,000 back into the community in regards to grants and scholarships for students in Biloxi and the businesses of Biloxi. And I also wanted to take the opportunity to introduce, because you will be working hand in hand, our 2023 chair, Justin Chance.
All right.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for allowing us to come and speak and introduce myself. Just wanted to echo what LaWanda said and thank you for your continued support. And we're excited for a big 2023 with our staple events, Seafood Festival, and then hope that one that we hope to grow is the Beer Fest Festival at the Shucker Stadium. So I'll be in touch, and thank y'all.
Thank you guys for coming. Appreciate you. Mr. Kemp?
My name is John Kemp. My house lives at 178 Hanover Court, but I proudly live in the city of Biloxi. Mr. Mayor, department heads, Mr. Barrett, Mr. Glavin, Dr. Tisdale, Mr. Deming, Ms. Newman, and Mr. Felix Gines. It's my honor to be a citizen of this city. In fact, I was honored to tell my 12-year-old after he met the councilman in my front yard, he's just moved over from Germany, some of you don't know that, and he wanted to know what it took to be a city councilman. So before we got into the books, right there in the yard, I told him, well, it starts with trust. The people in your community have to trust you. Well, how do they do that, Dad? Well, we tell them everything that's going on in our city. How do we do that, Dad? Well, we give them our phone number, like you so graciously done, Mr. Gines. You made it public. We give them our address. We give them our contact information. We keep everything transparent, even when it's good or bad. And the person that we trust to hold that office, doesn't matter what party he's in. What matters is that person keeping the trust of the people? And Councilman Gines, I've known you a long time, buddy. I've known you. You was the first person in our circle to have a car. And I remember going on to Keesler Air Force Base, because I think you were in the reserve by then, and playing basketball with you. So let me just talk to you, because I would be remiss, I would be wrong if I got up here and said you haven't done anything. I have the proud honor of serving as a board member on a nonprofit, and I've been in many meetings with you. And so I commend you on all that you have done for our city, not just in the Main and Division Street area, but for the entire ward too. But Mr. Gines, it came to my attention that you had words with a matriarch of ours, Ms. Caldwell. And I don't know, because I haven't talked to you, because I don't want to get up here and condemn you, but if it's true that you indeed cursed her, please apologize to her. I'm talking to you from Kemp to Gines.
Let's not use this as a bashing session on anybody. Let's keep this, trying to get things done in the city. Let's not bash anybody. This is okay.
Okay. I respectfully didn't think I was bashing anyone, but anyway, I'll take these last 30 seconds to ask you to start back your public meetings, you know. Dr. Tisdale has one often, I think quarterly. He sends out a weekly newsletter also to his constituents. Keep the transparency going. You know, we don't mind you having higher, aspirations of being representative for our state. You know, I'm a soldier. You know, I took an oath to protect you, being a Republican, Democrat, or whatever. But just open back the doors up, brother. Call a meeting soon and address the issues between Main and Division openly and transparently. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kemp. Is there anyone else on my left?
My name is Sonia White. I am here on behalf of my community, Ward 2. On Tuesday, January the 17th, Mrs. Crowell convened a community meeting. She presented a letter to Councilman Felix Gans, as well as to our Honorable Mayor, requesting Felix's presence. He was a no-show. I would like to present to you the summation of this gathering in which everyone present was allowed to put forth their grievances and their concerns. Please note that this grievance has nothing to do with Felix Gans' right and decision to cross the aisle into the Republican Party. It is that he did so without alerting the constituents who put him in office as a Democrat. The community at large found out about his decision on the local news. The devastation, the heartbreak, and then anger could be felt throughout the community for days. Taxation without representation was our agreed upon summation. This spineless community, which Felix has deemed us, came to the awakened reality that we have made a grave mistake in re-electing Mr. Gans into office. Through much testimony, we recognize a pattern had emerged in which I can boldly say that Mr. Gans has misrepresented this community by our vote. This is a man who brags as a dictator that nothing can happen in Ward 2 unless he says so. And it's attempted without his notice or approval, to make sure it doesn't see the light of day.
Ma'am, this
Yes,
is not a
ma'am.
bashing session. This is a city meeting to get city business done. We understand that you're upset and you have every right not to vote for him again, but we got to proceed with business.
Can I continue with sharing with you, ma'am?
Not if you're
Are we-
bashing anybody.
May I continue then?
Don't bash.
The latest issue is a $10,000 for the Martin Luther King annual celebration, in which this city graciously allocates in this annual budget. Felix Gans, without justifiable reason, refused to release that donation. I'm giving you facts, ma'am. I'm not bashing him. I'm not seeking to be ugly, ma'am. I'm trying to give you what occurred in our community and our concern for our community. Well, he's our councilman, ma'am, and he's been voted in to represent us. I'm only sharing with you our dissatisfaction about what has occurred. May I continue to do that, ma'am? I'm asking your permission. I hope you've granted me, ma'am, the minutes back to me, because I was interrupted more than one time. If I may complete what I was saying. All right. Ma'am, I'm not sure that I did. 523 Jefferson Street. All right, let's see where I can return. May I start back with our Martin Luther King celebration? Do you mind that? Thank you. The latest issue is a $10,000 celebration, which the city graciously allocates in its annual budget. Without any justification, our councilman refused to release that donation. He was again a no-show for a meeting with the MLK chairperson and the mayor to explain where is that money. On this national federally recognized holiday, which is so highly revered, not only by this community, but the country, Ward 2 was left barbecuing to a lot. Research has led back to our councilman's orders. Why wasn't the money and the park made available as it has been for so many years? There are countless issues in which there isn't enough time to discuss, and we're prepared to return again and again until we are heard. Mr. Bond's lips testifies that this seat is not to serve his community. This historically disenfranchised community, who has once again been politically raped, realize that there isn't a known recourse to remove our councilman. But we ask you, Mayor, and this council, and the supporters of this man, does our lives matter? Thank you. She's not a criminal. You can give it to her.
Is there anyone else on my left would like to come up and speak? Anyone else on my left? Anyone on my right would like to come up and speak? Please sign the paper, Ms. McIntyre.
Good evening, everybody. I am Pastor Sheila McIntyre. I ain't come to beat nobody up. I'm just here to just ask the whole board that's sitting here. And I'm asking the question, why do our park on Ward 2 be locked up? We got kids in the neighborhood that we can't go to our park because it be with a lock on it. We built 175,000 bathroom in John Henry Beck Park. The bathroom locked up. I called Sherry Bell and I was asking her about Martin Luther King Day. Why was it? Because it came to me, I am a part of the NAACP as well. And it came to me and they asking, why was Bush Park locked? Why there was not enough bathroom out there? I don't understand why we going through this with a park that we pay taxes. And I called Sherry Bell and she said it was ordered by our mayor and then to council. I don't understand that. A park should be a place where our kids could come and enjoy it and not be locked up, not discriminate, not talk about their animals or they this or they that, that when you get upset, this has to be a different, our attitudes and stuff. Whatever we going through, I love Phil God. I don't have nothing against their family. I don't have nothing against nobody in here because I'm a loving person. I just want to know, why do the park in Ward 2 have to go through so much locked up and talked about and people be criticized when, and all that? It's just confusing me. When Sherry Bell told me that, I'm asking, how can the mayor and the council make a decision for a public, P-U-B-L, to be locked up? If one of y'all in here, tell me why a park can be locked up when it's for the kids and for the people that pay taxes, then tell me and explain to me how they can lock it up. All right, because I need to know, because if not, it's not gonna stop right here. I go all the way to the Capitol. I will not stop right here because I feel like there's a racist thing going on. I go to all y'all other park, it never locked. Yes, tell me which one if I can go by there and check it out. Especially a public park that we pay tax. And that's what I'm upset about, because people calling me and I'm being a pastor. I just want to know if any, like you say, you're going to talk to me, I need to know, because we talking about, we not going back to slavery. We just not going back there no more. So that's what I had to bring to the meeting tonight, is a lot of people's mad, and then Ms. Cherry said it was the people in the neighborhood. The people in the
Thank you, Ms.
neighborhood can't do that.
McIntyre. Your time is up.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else on my right? Anyone else on my right? Okay, come on up. Thank you.
I'm Lizzie Williams, and I stay at 575 Jefferson Street in Ward 2. The fence went around Bush Park up there. They have had locks on them since the fence went up. My grandchildren does not go and play at the park anymore because there's locks on the gate. There's 4 entrances over there, and 2 of them remain locked all the time. And it's only one entrance to over there, to the park. And I want to know, why is the park locked? Why do they have locks on the gate 24/7 in a public park? That's what my concern.
Thank you again. Anyone else? Anyone in the back? Citizen comments are now closed. Okay, we're going to move on to the first reading.
Ordinance to approve a zoning map amendment for a change in zoning for 2 parcels of land identified as 156 Camellia Street and 1918 Southern Avenue from RS5 residential single-family high-density to community business for 156 Camellia and neighborhood business for 1918 Southern Avenue.
I need a motion on that. 2 or 3. Motion by Ms. Newman. Need a second?
I'll second.
Second, that's first, second by Mr. Barrett. That's the first reading.
Ordinance to approve a zoning map amendment to authorize a change in zoning for 6 parcels of land from neighborhood business and sand beach to waterfront for property at 360 Beach Boulevard.
Okay, I didn't get who moved and seconded.
Lawrence Glavin.
Lawrence and Glavin. Mr. Lawrence?
Yeah, I have several questions I need to find out. First of all, the original thing was 8.3 acres from the Tellis Garden that we had actually given them the right to buy, and now it's 11.15. Do we own the other 3 acres that they pretty much adding to this resolution?
Yeah, the option to buy includes the 8 acres, but the city owns the entire parcel which extends south of the beach. They don't have the option to purchase that, but as part of that, we would, the waterfront zoning requirement or request is for the entire parcel.
Yeah, but I mean, the 4 by Howard Avenue is owned by individuals, it's not owned by the city. Have those 4 small lots, they listed the other people that own those, not the city of Biloxi.
No, everything that's here on this sheet is, totals 11.15 acres. The difference in the 11 and the 3 is the remaining part of the beach, which they don't have the option to purchase.
So the 4 parcels owned by somebody else on Howard Avenue is not included in this, it's all inside this drawing. That's all I'm trying to find out, because we don't own that property.
The 4 parcels which are attached to the resolution,
Right.
which is here, this is, these show the parcels that the city owns.
Yeah, but according to this thing, you changing that, those people's property to waterfront also.
Mr. Lawrence, Robert Schwartz, I think I can probably answer your question a little bit easier possibly than Mr. Abad. We're not rezoning any property other than property owned by the city. I'll wait till your phone's done.
Sorry, excuse me.
So we're not rezoning any property other than property owned by the city. The entire tract that we sought rezoning for is owned by the city of Biloxi. It just constitutes a total of 6 tax parcels of record. And so those are all reflected in the slightly over 11-acre legal description that was prepared and attached to the petition for rezoning. So no private citizens' property is being rezoned, only property owned by the city.
And why are we zoning the Sand Beach waterfront?
There is going to be continuity in zoning for the entire development. It's all being zoned waterfront. And under the option agreement that we have with the city agreed to support us in rezoning that to waterfront so that we're able to proceed with the hotel development. Now, for clarity too, and this is in the option that the city approved unanimously about 2 months ago, we have the ability to build a pier that will be on the south of the Highway 90 boundary line. And so we will receive title to a small portion of that. But as Mr. Abad pointed out, the city owns a larger portion of the property that is located south of 90. So it's all being rezoned so you don't have split zoning inside a parcel owned by the city.
Well, the city don't own the Sand Beach. That's the first thing. You have to have y'all discuss this with the supervisors.
To be clear, the city has record title. We're not talking about who has the right to use Sand Beach, and that's not the issue before us. The city has title to the portion of the property that runs to the Gulf of Mexico. So to the extent that it is owned by the city is agreeing to rezone that property to WF. It does not require the county's consent to any rezoning. Any use of the property south of Highway 90 is of course going to require consent from Harrison County related to the Sand Beach, but that's not the issue before this council. We're simply here on a simple rezoning.
These are all issues to me because the 367 address is the Schooner Pier, and they have a lease for that property.
We're well aware of the lease, and if you looked at the option agreement that the city entered into, we're not purchasing where the existing pier is located. And we're not purchasing where the Coon Street boat launch is located. So all of that was clearly set forth in the option agreement. However, as I stated, the parcel is a single tax parcel that's located south of Highway 90. So the entire tax parcel is being rezoned to WF, the same as the other parcels that are located to the north, all of which was detailed in the option agreement signed by the city.
The city don't pay taxes, so there's not a tax parcel, so we don't pay taxes. Now,
Well-
once you do something with it, it's different, so.
The city does not pay taxes. It is a tax parcel of record. It's
Well,
clear.
I'm just saying,
You
so
can look at the
anyway.
tax map.
And when you doing all this waterfront is casino. Y'all keep saying you need this to do the guy won't buy the property unless it's waterfront. Well, you can build a hotel on the CB or RB. You don't need to have waterfront. That's high end, and it creates other problems, like Mr. Carroll said at the panel commission. All the adult entertainment and things like that goes with waterfront, so we had to put it somewhere. So that was it. So that's, to have the best use for the land, they made those statements that you made at the meeting. That was the best thing for the land. Well, it allows a lot of other things in there, other than waterfront.
All zoning
Everybody
classifications.
does waterfront on casinos.
All
They wanna-
zoning
all wanna go after the
classifications. I'll
casino.
let you
No,
finish.
wait a minute. If you want to go after the casino, then that's fine. Just tell us that. If that's the case. I mean, you're not going to go waterfront and build the one hotel. 'cause
To
that's
be
what the
clear,
casino needs to say.
the existing NB zoning does not allow for the development of a hotel. We've already made that clear. We met with the city about this in detail. Our option agreement with the city allows and requires WF zoning. That's what we sought. We've obtained unanimous approval from Architectural and Historical Review, unanimous approval from Planning and Zoning Commission, and we're here on that petition. So that's what we're seeking is WF zoning.
Yeah, but I'm saying you can build what you want on the CB. You don't need to have waterfront. That's all I'm saying.
Respectfully, Mr. Lawrence, we didn't ask your opinion on what zoning we should seek for the project. The zoning is WF that we sought, and that's what's required under the option agreement.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm just saying, if you don't need that to build a hotel, I'm saying. And you don't have to do anything to me. The only thing you got with me is I'll vote. So that's the thing. All
Certainly,
I'm
sir.
asking these questions, because a lot of people want to know why you're going out to waterfront when you could do this for something else. And Jerry Creel always tell us, they always go to the least amount of thing to move up in the zone, which would be CB, to build a hotel. That's
We
all I'm
went
trying to
through-
get these questions answered from you, because you're the man dealing with it, so I just need to know. And like I told you, if you can go after the gaming, then you got to fight Michael Watson and the gaming commission, but that's up to you. But I mean, to say that you have to have waterfront to build this hotel, that's not true. So.
Sir.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. I'm going to Mr. Glavin.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I'm excited about this project. I think it was passed unanimous when you first came to this council and to revive the Tullis Manor concept into the Tullis Gardens concept would be quite an attraction in just itself in name only. And to look at this parcel and see how you want to fully develop this as a destination property, I can't see of any reason standing in its way. With all due respect to my colleagues' scrutiny, we should give it scrutiny. But I'm telling you, this would be something that everyone would anticipate. I do know this firsthand, that your ownership and management group has already submitted application to join the Hotel and Lodging Association. They're making inroads in the community. They're trying to plug in and see how they can magnify our presence as a tourism destination by this property. The hotel is about at the right size. They may come back later and think they should have built a bigger one, but I think 200 rooms probably spot on for this property. And if there's anything, you know, this council can do, I stand ready to support it in any way possible. Best of luck to you.
Thank you, Mr. Glavin. Ms. Barrett? I have nothing. None. Dr. Tisdale?
I have nothing to add, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Deming? Ms. Newman? And-
I'd like to ask Peter one question,
Okay, go ahead.
please. Peter? Yes. We changed this to waterfront. Naturally, that's gonna be a more expensive property to sell it, so that full 2.2 million is not gonna get it. You're talking about 8.3 acres, that's probably worth $8 million at least under the gaming, under the waterfront. So I mean, are we gonna just get into appraisal and come and, they have to take into the look that this is waterfront, possible gaming site, possible lay down the road, whatever. That property has gotta be a lot more expensive than a floor of 2.2 million.
It will
So-
be. It will be.
You know, so I mean, we need to know that, because in the resolution, that's what it still states, 2.2 or whatever.
Well,
whatever.
that was a floor. That was the lowest it could be. But I think at executive session, we could share with you what the appraisals have shown so far.
Well, I'd like to know that. Thank you.
All right, and I have none as well. I'm gonna go ahead and,
Executives, could you do that now, before we make a vote in the executive session, and tell us those, whatever you want to do legally?
If y'all want to do that, we can do that now.
I'd like to do that before the vote, please.
okay, is that a consensus of the council?
They can make a
To go into executive session? He won for appraisals.
He said we can go into executive session, he could release the prices they have right now, so we can know what they are. Right, that's all. I'd like to find out what they are.
Typically, you can go to executive session if you're discussing the rental and sale of property, but I guess with this being purely on a zoning matter, it's not going to change what the appraisals are. So my suggestion is it's not really germane to this particular motion. But I mean, I could share those numbers with you if we go into executive session for that reason, for renting and selling property.
But we're going into executive session later on anyway.
Yeah, but I would like to hold this and then vote after the executive session, that's all.
Okay, if it's the will of the body.
Peter, you said that a valid reason is for the sale or rental of the property?
That's a general reason for executive session, to
Okay.
discuss sale or rental.
I'd make a motion to go into closed session for the purpose of examining the necessity to go into an executive session to discuss the rental or sales agreement on this particular property.
I second that. It'd be nice, at least nice to know.
There's some other
With that
pieces.
being no second, it
I
fails.
second it.
You second it?
Yeah.
You motion, you second it? Okay.
He motioned, I seconded, so we
Second it?
do, just
Okay.
like to see the prices, that's
Okay,
all.
call for the question. I thought you were gonna carry it all out.
Yeah,
You started it.
I'll do that. I was
Okay, you
waiting for a
motion, you
prompt.
second. You go ahead and carry it out
Okay.
since you started it.
All right, well, we need to vote on this motion and a second, is that correct, Gary? Yeah.
Yeah,
Should
for the
have
discussion
discussion.
of the purpose of the rental,
Go ahead.
the rental and sale.
Any discussion?
Yeah. Any discussion?
Yes.
Okay, you want me to go ahead and call for the question or just discussion? Go ahead.
Peter, you said it's not germane. Right? We're voting on an ordinance to approve a zoning map amendment. This is pertaining to a option agreement that we have already agreed to, signed, voted on, correct?
Right.
So I don't understand what the value of knowing what appraisals is worth at this point. We've already entered into this option agreement, and we're here voting on an ordinance. It would just appear that it's a measure to stall for no reason. If anybody else has another take on it, then move forward and go into the executive session, but
Okay, any more discussion? Okay, I'll call for the question. All in favor? 1, 2, all against? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Fails.
5-2.
Okay, we're gonna go 5-2. That's Dr. Tisdale and Mr. Lawrence. Okay,
Hard to
then,
believe that we just,
yeah. So we're gonna
found
move,
out the price. It's so hard to
so,
believe that.
so we're gonna move forward on that ordinance B. I'm calling for the question on ordinance B. All in favor of ordinance B? Okay, okay, 6. All against?
I'm against it.
1, 6-1. So motion carries. Okay, we're gonna move on to resolution C.
Resolution granting conditional use approval for short-term rentals as an allowed use and 10 recreational vehicle sites for 12200 Old Highway 67.
I'd like to make a motion to table this subject to call.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. Bear, second by Mr. Glavin. Any questions? No questions, all in favor? Okay, 7-0. It's tabled. Resolution D.
Resolution to grant preliminary subdivision plat approval for an 84-lot, single-family residential subdivision under the working title Hidden Spring Subdivision Phase 2.
Need a motion on it?
I'll motion.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Bear, second by Mr. Glavin. Mr. Bear?
I don't have any, I do have one question. Basically, this is something that was approved whenever all this land was rezoned back in 2017, correct?
That's correct.
And so anything that was put into place then as far as lot sizes and everything, even though this isn't the people who applied for the zoning change, the developers have to follow whatever, lot sizes. I know that there was, I wasn't on the council at that time, but there was some requirements for the lots that backed up to others and things. So those stay in place, correct?
That's correct. All they're doing is designing, these next two cases, they're being designed exactly the way that they were originally agreed to and approved by the council.
Okay, now the only other question, or not a question, but actually a request is, there's a lady who has some property, and I think Peter and I discussed this, that or maybe it was you and me and you, but that is near where the road's gonna go in. If that's gonna cause issues with her driveway, please let me know ahead of time, so that's something I can tackle on the front end instead of the back end. And I think it was Peter told me it's not gonna be an issue, but if something does come up, please let me know in front on the issue so that I can handle that instead of after the fact.
Okay,
And that's
we
the
will.
only thing I have.
Thank you. Mr. Glavin?
Don't have much to add. This was the annex portion, I believe, that we tackled, several years ago, and we're trying to move forward, get it developed.
Okay, anyone else?
Yeah,
Yes.
question.
Mr. Lawrence?
Dennis? And this is the one we discussed about, is any flooding, any water problem we have with these properties? I know a couple times we had discussions like that. There was certain things that was below the water level, and I would just want to know if this includes these two pieces of property that we're getting ready to pay. What the water is in the drainage?
Yeah, this property is very high and very well drained. I'm not sure exactly where you're talking about the flooding occurring. Is it associated with Mill Creek, or is it associated with Biloxi River, or do you know?
This is the one I was just asking you, if this is one of the pieces of property that we had a problem with the drainage and the flooding. This is not? That's what I'm asking you.
No, George, no, this is real high. This is actually on a crest. I think where you're talking about, there's one or two places, but I think what you're referring to is what's now in Kenny's ward, and that was right there at what's the name?
That's,
Well, yeah. Well, no, yeah, but what he's referring to, I believe, is that right there off of just north of Walmart. I can't think of the Lick Skillet Road. That property is the one that was the flooding issue,
okay.
but that's no longer being developed because there was issues there.
Yeah, that's a totally different area.
that's just trying to verify that.
And I will say, just in passing, that this subdivision has been designed to retain the water, throttle it back with detention areas to actually reduce the amount of runoff getting to Mill Creek. So there should be nothing but a positive effect downstream. Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else? I'll call for the question. All in favor? 7-0, motion carries. Resolution E.
Resolution to grant preliminary subdivision plat approval for an 89-lot, single-family residential subdivision under the working title Bella V subdivision, Phase 2.
Motion.
Moved by Mr. Barrett. Need a second? Second by Mr. Glavin.
This is just a continuation.
Continuation.
So we're good.
Okay, any other questions? All in favor? Okay, 7-0, motion carried. Need a motion on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Mr. Lawrence, second by Dr. Tisdale. Mr. Lawrence?
And I was on a couple things on here, when we had budget time, everybody was getting all over us about the library. We got $32,000 we put into the libraries, fixing them up. I just want to make note of that, to tell these people that we support the libraries if they do the right thing. And that's what our job is. We got a $15,000 and a $16,000 that we're taking care of libraries. So I just want to make a note, because they're coming in saying that we don't do anything to support them. They realize we put $2 million into the library every year. That was my main concern there. Thank you. That's it.
Okay, oh, all right. Ms. Newman? Okay, Mr. Deming? Dr. Tisdale?
Nothing.
Mr. Glavin?
I do want to reference item T. I know it was an addition to the agenda, but I want to point out a couple of things. This is a new part of my ward also, and I have some streets: Paradise, Eden, Hickman Road, which is identified here, and I do want to give a shout out to Supervisors Beverly Martin and Supervisor Connie Rocco for their assistance. Not only did they agree to a 50-50 match, they agreed to a 70-30% match, because we were having a little bit of a problem with some of the allocation of the paving funds. I was running out by paving all these roads, and they were gracious enough to pick up 70% of the cost, and the city is only incurring 30% of the burden on the paving of the roads. There is a question about some additional drainage and culvert repairs, which I think we'll split that 50-50. But I do want to give them a shout out. Working very close with them, we're making a difference in this part of the ward that badly needs it. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett.
I would just like to echo what Kenny said. I'd like to thank Connie Rocco and the Harrison County Board of Supervisors for partnering with this, with us on this, these 5 roads in Eagle Point, as well as the additional roads. These are roads that needed to be repaved terribly, and without their help, we probably wouldn't be able to get them done. So would like to thank them for helping out and teaming up with us on this.
Thank you, and I have none as well. We'll call for the question. All in favor? 7-0. Oh, yeah. Any exceptions? Any exceptions? None? Okay, motion carries. Consent agenda accepted. Okay, Ms. Creel, Code Enforcement.
So we didn't go with 2 extensions.
Yeah.
Item A, Diamond Lines Estate, 13320 Paradise Lane. That case has been resolved.
Right.
Item B, William E. Marica, 317 Nelson Road. That case has been resolved.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Creel.
That's pretty good, the extension worked.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go with the routine agenda. I need a motion on routine
Moved.
agenda.
So moved.
By Mr. Lawrence, second by Dr.
Second.
Tisdale. Lawrence, huh?
It's still Lawrence.
It's still Lawrence, okay. Motion second. George?
Yeah,
Councilman,
there you go.
we request an executive session on a litigation matter.
Okay, I'll do that as soon as we get the routine knocked out.
All right.
Because we're not gonna close the meeting out yet.
2.6, I think, he's going to verify it. The question
That
you're going
is-
to ask, 2.6.
Say again?
The question that you're going to answer, that you ask, will be, I think, 2.6.
2.6. They go walk right there, matter of fact.
About time he got here. The meeting's at 1:30, Walt. What are you coming in? 3:30 in the?
Oh, well, I was in the other room there with Mr. Leonard's office, checking on the updates of the emails. So yesterday, we received 2.376 million.
Oh, okay.
Love to hear that.
376.
Anything else coming down the pipeline?
Not yet, but after this payment on the council docket, we will have some more.
All
Thank you.
right. Thank you.
Ask him, are we 60 days ahead?
Okay,
You were going to ask him whether we're 60 days ahead or not, which you usually do.
yeah, I don't, you gotta speak into that mic.
Ahead?
We are 60 days ahead.
Oh, we're 60 days ahead, yeah, okay. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and call for the question on the routine, all in favor? Okay, 7-0, motion carried. Before we go, we're gonna go into executive session. Need a motion to go into closed session for the purposes of examining necessity to go into executive session. Moved by Mr. Lawrence. Second by Mr. Glavin. Any questions? All in favor? Legal matter.
Litigation,
Second, excuse me, we're having a meeting. We're having a meeting. Could you please sit down? We're having a meeting. We're still in the middle of a meeting. Officers, we're still in the middle of a meeting. Okay, what else you were saying? Not a thing. Okay. Okay. Okay, all in favor? Okay. No, 6-1. Okay, I need a motion to conclude the closed session and reconvene in an open meeting.
So moved.
Move. Second by Mr. Glavin. Any questions? Okay, all in favor? Okay, 6-1. And I need a motion to go into executive
So
session.
moved.
Moved by Mr. Lawrence, second by Mr. Glavin. Any questions? All in favor? Okay, 6-1. Executive session.
Chris, it'll be more than 10 minutes. You let her know it won't be more than 10 minutes. Hey, Mr. Brill? Yes, sir. How you doing, man? All right, good. Hey, see you.
No action was taken. I need a motion and second to conclude the executive session and reconvene in open meeting. Motion by Mr. Lawrence, second by Mr. Glavin. Any questions? All in favor? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6-0. And I need a motion to
So moved.
adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Tisdale, second by Mr. Lawrence. Any question? All in favor? 6-0. Motion carried.
Coming out.
Now we're done.